Welcome in, come meet my Bristol bro. Anything from this to that, my Bristol bro. So nice to introduce my Bristol bro. Anyone from him to her, my Bristol bro. Work with these hands, you see this hard form. Say with your chest, my pen is hardcore. Even at my desk, feel like a star-lord. And it shows how much we give it all for. Now it's time to give them all an encore. Till it's back to the drawing board. Welcome in, come meet my Bristol bro. Anything from this to that, my Bristol bro. So nice to introduce my Bristol bro. Anyone from him to her, my Bristol bro.
Welcome in, everybody. It's another Tuesday with your Bristol Bros. Sam and James are in the house. What's up, Samuel?
Boy.
What?
Man, I can tell you what, though.
Bristol,
it is. Yeah, it's still obnoxious.
Come on, dude. Where's your mix? Not
Don't
like
worry
you're
about
busy. It's not like you're busy or anything.
Yeah, dude, I actually just finished the Kickstarter today. Like, I'm officially like done with it. I have
Nice.
2 more pieces of like pinups that I'm waiting for, but it's like, it's really not crucial to the campaign.
June
yeah,
3rd, right?
Yeah, launching June 3rd. I have it completely 100% finished up. Like, the book is completely done. So it's like, as soon as the Kickstarter is finished, I can send it straight to the printer and people will have the book in their hands within a couple of weeks.
Awesome. So we're gonna do the launch party. What, the 2nd is the day before, right? So we'll be able to kind of kick it off on here.
Yep. Yeah, just the normal time slot that we usually
Sweet.
do on Tuesdays, and then the following day on the 3rd, I'm going to be launching it that morning.
Awesome. Well, before we bring our guest in, let's catch up on the chat. We got our buddy Yevgeny Sokolov, Bristol Bros. Hey guys, speaking of White Line Deadline, the Yevgeny Sokolov cover,
yes sir,
killer. We got our buddy Michael Gardner in here. As always, we got Comic Collecting Coach, we got Victor Medina, we got Squid Marks. Tristan Warner says, great job, Sam.
Thanks, Tristan.
He says he's looking forward to using my mirror and checking out the new issue. And Vic wants to be like Yev. Don't we all?
Just need to draw more rebar, Vic. It's not that hard.
We've got Crows. What's up? Awesome. The best Goku says, yo, boy, you are not tough. No, Sam is not.
No, softy.
He's a little softy.
Yeah, combat engineer, Marine
in his
Corps,
little pink room. Awesome. Well, we have an awesome guest tonight. Somebody I became familiar with and had on the standalone pod a while back. Mr. Warrick Walker is with us tonight. What's up, Warrick?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey.
Good, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Good. Living the dream, every moment of it.
Safe to say a little bit later there for you?
No, I'm in California. So
that's right. You're another West Coast guy.
Yeah. So when you said 7 p.m., I was like, beautiful. Thank you.
Sam and I are used to having these East Coasters and these people in the UK and
100%. It is. It's kind of crazy. There's a lot of indie comic creators out in the East Coast. Like a lot of the ones I've befriended online.
Yep.
It makes me envious of Heroes Con. I have yet to do Heroes Con, but it is something that I need to experience for sure.
Yeah, Noah, who I just had on the pod today, he's going to be at Heroes Con too. It's his first con he's ever gone to, actually, and he said he wrote a book that he's working with an artist that they're debuting at Heroes. I'm like, dude, your first con and you're going to be at a booth? That's pretty cool.
That's super sick.
Are you going to be at a table at Heroes?
Not Heroes, not this year.
Okay.
I was looking at the logistics of maybe trying to go next year. I never really did a lot of cons or like pop-ups, and this year I did decide to change that. I've done 2 so far. and I have 2 next month. I'm going to be at Whittier Con on the 7th, and then I'm doing Fan Expo, which is like a 3-day event, and that's in Anaheim at the convention center, and that's like probably the biggest con I will have done to date.
Nice.
And Mark Hamill's one of the special guests there. It's
It's
a pretty cool like convention. And then later in the year, there's a museum that's doing like a cool like curated like comic event. So I'll be at that as well. So I'm trying to get out of my computer space and actually meet people and share my stories with people directly instead of just having an online presence. So
that's cool, man. Getting out there, getting in 100%. The mix.
Yeah, it does make a big difference, like being at cons with people, and like getting to network that way. It makes a huge difference, and like you get put into situations that you never thought that you would get put into before. So then it just opens up more networking opportunities because of that. It's like, hey, I'm going to go out to drink or get a pizza with so and so, and then next thing you know, there's 10 other people at the pizza shop, and that turns into other things. So you never know.
Yeah, definitely. Like the first pop-up I did, I got sat next to, I didn't know him at the time, but Chris Robinson, who is an editor. He edited stuff for Marvel, and then he did a lot of things for Ed Piskor as well. So that was really cool. I got to like talk to him and befriend him. And yeah, I didn't realize how much, you're kind of sitting at a booth all day. So you just start kind of like looking to your left and looking to your right, and you just start chatting it up, and you have no idea who you're sitting next to. So it was very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, you never know the little opportunities that may arise. Who are you going to be at that con that you're going to? Who are you going to be with? You got some of the other creators. Is Raymar going to be there? Any of those guys?
Raymar is not going to be there, but
okay.
I'm splitting a table with my buddy Marcus. I'll send you some of his work. Super cool guy. He's kind of working on his own superhero series right now called Beehive, and really fun designs for the characters, and everything kind of revolves around this galactic honey, basically, that like, kind of embeds itself and you getting powers from it. Really fun stuff, but I'm also going to be next to him at Whittier Con as well. So that'll be really cool.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. You're going to be, convince Erwin to go.
Yeah. Erwin, he was always like doing the circuits. As long as I've known him, he was doing cons, and it seems like recently he's kind of like stepped back. I'm not entirely sure what
he's become more elusive.
Oh, he's a homebody through and through.
He is.
I used to send him text to remind him to walk, because like I think if you just let him sit at his desk all day, he'll just draw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're gonna have blood clots before you know it. You need to get moving. So yeah.
The life of an artist.
100%.
Deep vein thrombosis. Sedentary lifestyle for sure. Well, for the sake of the people watching or, that are tuning in who aren't familiar with you, Warrick, who haven't listened to my podcast with you, why don't you let everybody know how you got into writing and where your love of writing started?
Yeah, definitely. So I've always loved comics. Specifically, like in my youth, I was reading a lot of manga. I didn't really get into Western comics until I got into high school. It's not that I dislike superheroes. They just never resonated as heavily as a lot of other individuals. And so I kind of just always veered away from Western comics, because in my mind, that was always like, Cape and Cowl. It was always superhero stuff. Yeah. And it was my discovery of Hellboy that made me go like, oh my God, like there's some really good stuff out there. And that's what got me turned on to like Dark Horse and Image and Vertigo and a lot of these other, well-known publishers, but not the big two. So I would say once I started discovering those stories, I started realizing like, man, like there's a lot of good stuff here that I need to start reading as well. As for storytelling, when I was going to college, it was for film. I love film. I love movies, and I've always loved the idea of storytelling through film. But film is really hard because you have to work with a lot of people, and you have to depend on people to take care of their stuff and make sure that they fulfill their end. And it's really hard not having any money to really like create the world or the space or the characters you want, you feel very limited. And sometimes that limitation is good because it forces you to be more creative with what you have. But I eventually realized that, comic books, like I can create that world I'm envisioning. I can get that look, that feel that I want. And I'm really into a lot of like high fantasy stuff. So, if I was making some indie film about some guy who's going through a rough moment in his life, that's pretty achievable. I could make that. But I wanted to make these grand, pieces of like castles, dilapidated, kings being slain, and that's just a lot harder to pull off, when you're starting out.
For sure.
I never, as much as I love comics, I never was like, I'm going to make comic books because I didn't draw. And as dumb as it may sound, it took me a very long time to realize that I could still make comics even though I don't draw. I could just be a writer. And it was Erwin, who we were talking about earlier, that kind of like helped me stumble into that. When I first befriended Erwin, I was sculpting a lot, and basically we had a group of art friends. We'd all meet up and hang out and just make art and just laugh and drink beers and just enjoy each other's company. And the more and more I was around Erwin, he had created this character called the Angriest Warrior, which was a parody of Conan the Barbarian and also the Ultimate Warrior. And I thought it was hilarious. I'm a huge Conan fan, and so every time I saw him, I was like, "Oh, you should have him do this. You should have him do that." And we would, be laughing about it until one day Erwin was like, "Would you want to write a story for Angriest Warrior?" And I was kind of like, "Whoa!" Like I didn't realize that was a possibility. And of course, I said yes immediately, and that turned into the struggle of like realizing I knew nothing about making a comic book.
Yeah.
And I messed up a lot on that first comic. I thought I was helping him by like formatting everything. Like I did the panel layouts and stuff, and I gave him the Bristol boards to basically ink on top of just to help save time, not realizing that like traditionally, if you're going to be inking, a lot of artists work on 11 by 17 paper. In my mind, all paper is rectangular. So if I just buy rectangular paper, not realizing when he has to shrink it down into that comic size, like that's all super crucial. Didn't know any of that. So I basically gave him all this paper and he had to like redo everything himself, potentially creating more work for him.
So were you trying to do thumbnails and things?
Yeah. So I was like thumbnailing stuff for him, very rough, just, to help him give an idea of what like I was thinking when I saw it. And I'm very open for change. Every time I work with an artist, I always do the thumbs. I always do panel layouts because it just helps me figure out the pacing and what actually can fit on a page. Because it's very easy to overwrite on a page, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. So if I at least do the panel layouts, I can give them to the artist, then the artist can be like, "Oh, this is cool," or "Oh, no, I think I can make this better," and then they have free range to basically like make those edits.
Yeah.
But yeah, Erwin was the first one to really just kind of give me that opportunity, which is insane because Erwin is an insane artist. So that to be the first artist I got to work with was like huge. And he absolutely killed it. And that's what ended up being Angriest Warrior Dead Ends, which was a one shot. And me and Erwin had such a good time on it that we decided like we should make a series. And that's what our last Kickstarter was, Angriest Warrior and the Crooked Crucible.
Very cool.
Issue. And as you can see, Erwin is just as insane as he always has been.
Yeah.
So, and it being a funny parody comic, it gave me a lot of opportunities to do really funny, dumb stuff like this, and just like have a really good time making the comic. So,
did you find that you kind of found your sea legs, so to speak, with the writing at that point? Was it getting to be a little more natural for you?
Yeah. I made the horrible mistake of making a 16-page story, and then immediately the following comic was a 64-page comic, which was very dumb of me, admittedly. And It's very funny though, because like a lot of people love it. That was Vile that ended up being the 64-page story, and every time I end up talking to somebody about comics, they that has read any of my work, that's what they want to talk about, because they loved that piece so much. But I was so worried because I made that comic slow. I definitely I wanted the pacing, I wanted the world building, I wanted, you know, Irwin's such an amazing artist. I really wanted it to be like hard boiled Jeff Darrow. Like you could spend 20 minutes just looking at a page, looking at every single detail, and
Right.
he absolutely did it. He killed it, and it was really fun to do that. But I was apprehensive because I was like, you know, I'm a writer, but there isn't a lot of dialogue, and I don't know if that translates to people as like, oh, he's not a good writer, he's not writing anything. But in reality, I'm like writing all those scenes, all the things Irwin is drawing. I'm describing like, okay, I want them to be on a subway, and I want there to be gangsters sitting in the subway, and you see a mother with her child, but she doesn't look scared because this is their life, this is their world, this is an everyday situation to her, so she's not scared, and stuff like that. So
Well, I think ultimately, if people are telling you they liked it, you didn't make too big of a mistake.
yeah, I think it was more of not realizing how long it would take to make a 64-page comic.
Right.
Yeah. So that
Making more
was
work for Irwin too.
100%. And I think originally it was going to be 84, and then we scaled it down to 64. We should have just kept scaling it down. Yeah, we should have just kept scaling it down. But yeah, we had a lot of fun doing it, and that is a series we want to return to. But me and Irwin were doing this thing where we would do one Vile, one Angriest Warrior, and I felt like we couldn't really build momentum on either series because there wasn't enough of it continuously coming out.
Right.
So we decided, let's focus on Angriest Warrior. It's wacky, it's fun. The world needs some wacky and fun right now, and let's just make something that people will enjoy, and we'll knock out like 5 or 6 issues of that, and then we can get back onto Vile. So.
And now you have a new Kickstarter in the works too that's getting ready to launch soon, huh?
Definitely. So that's Flesh and Steel. That is a anthology series that I decided to do. Anthologies I've loved anthologies. I own a lot of comic book anthologies, but I've avoided it like the plague because it seems like hell to navigate that many people all contributing.
Sam might know a little something about that.
So I avoided it forever, and luckily I've just made some really incredible friends in the art community, and once I started telling them about this idea, they seemed really enthusiastic, and it was people I could trust, people I knew I could count on. I was like, I know this person's going to deliver something incredible, and so they were all on board. And then I decided I should reach out to people that I really love their art, but I may not know them super well, and see how they feel about it. And surprisingly enough, a lot of them were like, hell yeah, let's do it. So I'm really excited to get that out there. We're projecting to do the Kickstarter in August. But yeah, like I'll send you a link. I'll drop it in the YouTube chat if people want to check it out for the pre-launch sign-up page. I think it's a pretty cool pre-launch page, if I must say, even though it's biased.
I already dropped it in there for you, bro.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, sir. And as like a little like love you, I added one of the stories is already done. One of the stories that I wrote and was drawn by Kevin Castanero. So if you go to the bottom of the pre-launch page, you'll see a free comic. It's A Simple Job is what it's called. And it's a Conan fan comic, going back to the roots of it. And it's a little taste of like, hey, if you like this, you're going to love what else is in this book. So.
All right, last thing for me, and then I'm going to let Sam grill you a little bit. So Kickstarters, are you managing these on your own, or is somebody helping you with these?
So Eternal Reign was the first Kickstarter that was solely me. Vile was also kickstarted, and Angriest Warrior was kickstarted by Irwin. So, but I was there for the entirety of the process. So Flesh and Steel will be me. I will be the one who's like coordinating and making sure everything gets shipped out. But luckily Eternal Reign was a nice little like test run to make sure, okay, can I get this printed on time? Can I mail everything out? Because I'll be honest, I never used the mail prior to like making comic books.
Right.
And Eternal Reign was my first like shit, I need to print labels. I need to put labels on packaging. I need to make sure this is packaged well so it doesn't get damaged. So I'm very confident that I'll be able to knock this out. So
awesome, man. I'm confident you will too. We'll pray the postal gods are on your side and nobody drop kicks the packages on their way.
Yeah, you can be like Amazon and ship me screen tones in a polymailer bag and they show up just crumbled up.
Ugh,
Incredible. Yeah.
horrible.
Incredible stuff. I mean, I guess my first question for you is just based off of the Kickstarter that you're currently promoting. Are you writing all of the stories for it and then having other people draw them, or is it kind of like they're submitting like their own projects to the book?
So there was 3 stories that I really wanted to tell, and that's what originally got the idea of this anthology going. And I reached out to 3 really good friends, and I was like, hey, like, how would you feel about illustrating this? And I was fortunate enough where they really liked the story, they really liked the message, and they were willing to do it. And I was like, cool. Now I started reaching out to other artists, friends and artists I didn't know, basically saying, hey, like, I'm doing this anthology. Here's one of the stories that I wrote, so you can see like the quality of like care and effort that I'm putting into this project and how serious I'm taking it. Let me know if this is something that would interest you. And the artists that did reach back, they were like, cool, like, well, what story do you want to do? And I told them, I was like, well, if you have your own story you'd like to tell, like, I would love for you to contribute your own story. But if you feel like you're struggling and you need help, I can do a story for you as well. And so what originally was going to be 3 stories on the anthology, I'm doing 6 now.
Wow.
So and it was very cool because I have this Google Doc sheet that's just all 1-sentence prompt ideas that I've had that were like, oh, this might be kind of cool to do. And when those artists were like, I don't have an idea, can you help me? I basically would send them this list and I'd be like, does any of this resonate with you? And then they'd be like, oh, this is a really cool idea. And I'd be like, cool, I'll write it. Like, let me, how many pages do you want it to be? And then I would write that script and send it to them. And I've been fortunate enough to get really good feedback from those 3 stories as well. So I'm really excited. I wasn't expecting to do 6, but it is very cool. So.
Got a question here from Mark. He says, I'm curious, what are some of Warrick's inspirations in the fantasy genre of writing outside of comics?
Okay, beautiful. So, as I mentioned earlier, big Conan fan. So specifically Robert E. Howard stuff too. So, you have the Barry Windsor Smith stuff in the comic books, which is all phenomenal stuff. But Robert E. Howard made some really weird like fantasy. He was borderline like Lovecraftian with some of like the elements. And so classic Conan. And then I'm not sure if you're familiar with Michael Moorcock, but he has an Elric series, and that's also like a dark fantasy series, and that's inspired a lot of stuff. There's, I think it's like the first 5 or 10 pages of the first Elric book where you have this like prince sitting in his throne, and they start describing this court of choir singers that are basically slaves, and they've had their throats surgically operated so they can only produce one musical note, but it's a beautiful musical note, and they're all singing in harmony. And he has this like inner monologue about like how horrible but beautiful that is too. And I find that kind of work like super interesting, where you can make fantasy like creepy, kind of fucked up, but still at the same time like kind of like dreamy. So that's what I try to imitate in some of my newer work. But obviously I love sword and sorcery, so I have no problem with just a good buff barbarian slicing people's heads off as well.
Nice.
With
Stick
your
to bread and butter, right?
Yeah, 100%.
With your with your writing process, are you doing like the thumbnails and then the script, or are you doing like the script first and then the thumbnails? Because like with how I write, typically I like to write all the dialogue. I basically write screenplays is the best way to look at it, and then I thumbnail afterwards.
Okay, so I do a thing where I just call it outlining, where it's basically I'll have bullet points in chronological order of what I think the series of events that need to happen in that issue, that story, whatever. And I'll have that bullet point up, and I'll know exactly how many pages this needs to fit. And then I'll figure out how many pages? Okay, there's going to be a cool sword fight. How many pages should that sword fight be? Let's make that 4 pages. And I basically start allotting how many pages I can use per like scene, essentially. And that will give me a rough estimate for when I actually start writing it. And I'm no dialogue on my first draft. I dialogue is the thing I struggle the most with. And if I sat there and I tried to hammer out the dialogue, I probably wouldn't ever write a story, because I think it would just slow me down way too much. So the first draft is like me throwing up onto the page, where it's just scene by scene what's happening. Instead of writing what they're arguing about, I'm writing that they're arguing, and that allows me to get that first draft out as fast as possible. And then I'll come in and I'll start writing dialogue, and over time I'll keep coming back and either eliminating words or making things more clear, or trying to make that character, their voice sound more unique or interesting. And so like that would be my process.
Do you ever wait to see the art to decide what you're going to do with the dialogue, or make tweaks after seeing what the artist has done?
I'm fortunate.
That's kind of what Stan Lee used to do.
Yeah.
Just let Jack draw it all and then make the dialogue after the fact.
Yeah. There has been times where, like for Eternal Reign, for instance, I wrote that there's an empty pantry that gets like a close-up shot. And my buddy, Eric Rivera, he drew rats next to the empty pantry. And so I ended up writing "and those damn furry thieves" into the story, because I was like, cool, like he added something interesting, and I feel like I should contribute to that. And I have no problem editing dialogue and changing stuff depending on the panel layouts, because like I said, I give them rough layouts, but at the end of the day, when they turn their page in to me, they could have moved things around. So that means the dialogue also has to move, or maybe the dialogue has to shrink down a little bit because there's not as much room for that as much as I thought there was going to be, or something like that. So
yeah, you have to kind of be adaptable, right?
Yeah, as a writer, solely a writer, making comics is a collaborative experience. If I was the artist as well, then it would just be like, no, this is purely my vision. But as a writer, straight from the get-go, I was very open to the idea of like, this isn't just my comic, this is our comic. And I'm working with you because I believe you're going to be able to contribute the best you can to what we're working on. And it's my responsibility to do that as well. So I try to be really respectful when they have suggestions or ideas, or if they're like, hey, do we really need this? I'll either tell them like, actually, no, we don't. Or I'll tell them, oh yeah, that's actually important because I'm foreshadowing this. And then there's a little more dialogue around it. But yeah, like I feel like I'm incredibly open for change in my stories. Luckily, all the artists that I've worked with seem to understand like the theme or what I'm trying to get across. So that never feels like that's in danger.
Nice. What else you got for him, Sam?
So with, I guess the first comic you had made, you kind of had talked about how you had gone over with, really didn't think about page counts and everything like that. Mm-hmm. So now when you're going into a project, are you thinking of like, hey, I want this to be like 60 pages, or are you writing it and then allowing the story to dictate how many pages you're making and then kind of editing from there?
I like to have a rough page count because I feel like it helps put me in check. Otherwise, it'll just turn into Vile and end up being a 64 page again. So when I had an artist recently reach out to me and they're like, hey, I want to do something with you. And I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like, what are you thinking? We started talking. I immediately asked them, how many issues do you want it to be? What does the page count look like? Because I need all of that to understand how big or small of a story I can tell. And, for some reason, I really love 28 and 32. I think those pages, those numbers, I feel like I do a lot of stuff and I want it to be either one of those two numbers. I don't know why, but I feel like that's the appropriate room for me to like set the mood, get some good action, and leave you with a nice cliffhanger and wanting more. So
Yeah, all of my comics are generally about 30 pages. If they're like solo comics, anthologies, their page counts or whatever, I'll make them however many I want to. But yeah, I mean, I think that comics in general nowadays, especially like modern comics, the page counts are way too low. It's like 20 pages.
Oh yeah,
Like it's
no,
just it's
some
not
of them.
enough.
It's
And then
not even that.
and then it's like 3/4 of the fucking book is ads. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think especially, you're really giving the people that are supporting the project more bang for their buck if you can do that. I think that's important. Don't shortchange them.
For sure. It's one of those things where it's like it's hard to make comic books, and like I could make 20 pages and just keep trying to like bang that out, but at the end of the day, like I want to make something that like it's going to force you to sit down for a little bit and actually like really enjoy it, because I can burn through a 20-page comic like very fast, and I want people to slow down and just enjoy the stuff that I'm making.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have any? I know you mentioned that you're more into like horror and these kind of darker, like not superhero genre, but you got any spin on a superhero story in the back of your head kicking around?
So originally that was Vile. So Vile eventually, to me, it's a Vile is going to turn into a superhero story. So, the first issue of Vile ends with him turning into this like horrific monster. He's addicted to certain substances, and he thinks he's doing the drug that he always does, but he ends up injecting something that turns him into an actual monster. And at first it's, horrible. He can't control it. To me, it's like a big metaphor of like substance abuse and how you can downward spiral and become something that's like unrecognizable. But I've been fortunate enough to meet people who have been able to pull themselves up, overpower this abuse, this issue that they're suffering from, and become stronger from it. And that's what that story is at its core. It's about somebody who's dealing with grief, somebody who's trying to escape their very fucked up reality, but they realize, like, I can't. And this is how I am. This is how people perceive me. And I need to learn to control this. I need to be better. I need to be stronger. And as the series is supposed to go on, he begins to be able to control this monstrous form, start using it, for good, and, become stronger. And by the end of it, ideally, like, be a hero.
So you're doing it, but you're doing it your own way.
Yeah, trying.
Horror superheroes.
Yeah, it's definitely Carpenter-esque for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that like if you don't like a genre, you should tackle it. You should make the version of it that you do like.
Right.
I always joke around that my wife really likes like period pieces, like colonialism stuff. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. Every time there's a colonialism like setting on a movie, I immediately just want to tune out. And I told myself years ago, I was like, I need to make a comic book that takes place in this setting that I love, so I can like conquer this genre that for whatever reason I have beef with. So.
It's like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that stuff sucks. I'm with you. It's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
My girlfriend watches like Bridgerton and stuff like
Dude.
that. Just like throw that shit in the trash.
100%.
I've walked in on some scenes in shows that my wife was watching. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you watching?
Yeah, it's pornographic.
Yeah, what is this guy? Why is this guy doing this to this other dude? Like, what did he do? She's like, I don't know. I swear it's never stuff like this. Like, yeah, right.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one.
So typically, how long is like your pipeline for like a Kickstarter generally for like you on the creative side to when it's finished?
So Flesh and Steel, I launched the pre-launch page I think like a month ago.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, the sooner I have this up, the sooner I can promote it, hopefully get people excited for it. So this is the earliest I've been doing it, and I think that's probably the smartest strategy. Just trying to get awareness of it before it launches. But Eternal Reign, I did the pre-launch page, and it was maybe up for like a month, maybe two at most, before I ended up like launching it. And it was just because I just honestly didn't really know what I was doing. It was me just trying to figure out Kickstarter, understand how to promote stuff. And it was a struggle. You know, I wasn't doing shows like this. I wasn't actively trying to like talk to people and like do all of that. And that is a huge part of this. Like as much as some people may not like it, like the promotional side of your work is also massive as opposed as to making your stuff. You can make an amazing comic, but if you don't tell anybody about it, like nobody's going to get to see it. So,
Oh yeah, especially in crowdfunding. Like, can't expect people to just discover it.
Yeah,
You
100%.
know, you're going to get buried amongst the thousands of other projects that are on there that nobody sees.
And even the people that do discover it, it's like, I'm sure you've seen the statistics and whatnot, but it's like you get all those pre-backers, and then the people that actually show up and buy the book that are from those pre-backers, it's like 30% of them, maybe
Yeah.
if that.
100%. Yeah, like that was I think the last Angriest Warrior we did, it was something like I think like 30 or 40% at most from
Yeah.
the 120 people that like pre-signed up or
Mhm.
whatever. So
And then you get that surge at the end too of people that come out of nowhere when you're really scared it's not going to get fully backed, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden they come in and pull the trigger.
it's such a weird lull. Like as soon as you open the gates, the first couple of days, it's just a huge burst. Then you have a good 2 weeks of just like almost nothing, and then right
Yeah.
at the end, everybody either just feels bad for you or they're just like, "Ah, fuck it." Like
No, I think it's
I've been putting
something.
this off.
I think it's a human nature thing because I experience the same thing when I've put on like events and jujitsu seminars and things. People do the same thing. They'll initially get on and like, you know, prepay and everything, and then it's like dead, and you're like, oh crap, like 10 people are going to show up, and then like 50 people within the last like 3 days of the deadline sign it. They all wait till the last minute.
It was a very surreal experience, like posting like Flesh and Steel, like announcing it. I got a bunch of really good feedback. People I hadn't even spoken to before were all messaging me, telling me like how cool it looked and how excited they were for it. And it really kind of like hammered in them like, all right, cool, I'm doing this. Like this is I'm on the right path. Like this isn't just me who thinks this is awesome. Like absolute strangers are telling me this is awesome. So that got me pretty excited.
Yeah, and people may not realize, but you're pretty new to all of this. I mean, relatively speaking, when you came on the podcast, you hadn't done too much at that point, and now you're like cranking out all this other stuff. Just since you've been on the pod, like you've had a couple of things come out, so it's got to be kind of cool to see it growing so quickly.
Yeah, I definitely think this last year has probably been the most productive for comics for me. I've been making comics for probably, I think, let's say 4 years now is when the first Angriest Warrior came out. And a lot of it stemmed from, I worked with Erwin. He also did Vile, and Erwin was a friend of mine. So that was very easy to like coordinate and to like understand. And I kind of had to work up the courage to reach out to artists and basically pitch ideas and see if they're interested, and also be absolutely okay with them not either responding or saying like no thanks. And that fear of rejection, that fear of like, oh, like nobody wants to work on this. But I've been very fortunate where the people I have talked to are excited about what I'm doing, and I've been able to make friends in the process, which is like huge. So
yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you just go into it with like the worst they could say is no, or I can't right now. Like Sam and I run into that a lot. We invite a lot of people on. It's like, oh yeah, I want to do it. And then when it comes down to actually scheduling, it's like, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
But hey, if that's the worst thing you encounter, Jim food.
Yeah. Son of a bitch.
Deadline, schmedline.
Coming for you, brother. Yeah, I mean, so with all the previous Kickstarters that you've done, what are you looking to do different with the current one that you have up that you're looking to maybe get some more leverage in terms of like funding and everything like that?
Yeah, that's always a challenge. I'll be honest, I'm really bad about stretch goals. To me, I'm very blunt. Like I'm making the comic book. I know variant covers are like a huge thing, and that's just something that has never really captivated me. and don't get me wrong, the idea of like having different artists do their own take on a cover is very cool. But then my mind goes to all the different printing I have to do and all the managing of who bought what. Oh, this guy got cover A, B, this guy got A, C. And to me, I want the actual comic is my focus. So I want that product to be the best it can be. So I think even for Flesh and Steel, for the anthology, it's just going to be the book. And I played around with like some fun, dumb ideas. Like the Flesh and Steel logo is very cool, done by Bob Kurthy, a phenomenal artist. We were joking around about making temporary tattoos of the logo. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll just put a temporary tattoo in for free with every copy or something dumb like that. But that is something I feel like I need to get better at, learning how to market and learning like what people want to buy, what they want with their comic book, because I feel like I'm a very bare bones kind of guy. If anything, I was thinking about offering commissions to the artists. If they want to do commissions, then they can do commissions, and this allows them to make more money, and that has nothing to do, like whatever they decide to charge for their commission, that's 100% theirs. That has nothing to do with the finances of like what I get from the Kickstarter. So at the end of the day, I'm more worried about the artists making sure that they're getting what they deserve, rather than like, oh, like we should make a poster, we should make a shirt, we should make wristbands, so.
Yeah, it's interesting that you do bring that up about covers, because on the current Kickstarter that I have up in pre-launch right now, I wasn't going to do any variant covers for it, but then somebody I couldn't pass down sent me art unprovoked. Yeah. So I was like, now I opened up the can of worms. Now I had to do variant covers. But one of the things that I can recommend for you to do, and Jim Mahfood had actually told me about this, and this is what he did on his last Kickstarter, is because it's like, as you know, it's like having variants is a pain in the ass, because it's like now you have to pay taxes on another cover, and you have to send that to the printer, and another SKU that you got to carry and all that kind of stuff. He will do limited prints of somebody's cover, only do like 10 of them and make it limited to only 10 of them. And he'll price them at like $50 a piece.
That's
so cool. That way it makes it like a collector's item rather than it only being like a variant that anybody can get, so that it makes it more incentive for people to actually jump on it, and then it makes it more incentive for him to actually print it.
That's actually a really cool idea. I didn't think of the limited aspect of it, because then that also allows you to have a good idea of like, okay, if I only make 25 copies of this, it's going to cost this much. And if I charge this much, then I know for sure it's going to go well over the cost to actually print it and stuff like that. So that's not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, it's food for thought, I guess.
Is this path you're on right now fulfilling your creative self, your creative nature? Are you wanting to take this further? Are you going to pursue work for bigger publishers? Are you happy right now doing your indie, like creator owned type of thing? What's the future look like, Warrick?
In
a perfect scenario.
In a perfect scenario, I do want to get to the point where I am published, so to some extent. Mostly just because I just want distribution. I just don't want to have to think about or print. I just want to create and then let them figure that all out. There was a point in my life where I was like, man, I really want a book, published from Dark Horse or from Image, and it would still be cool. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not chasing that as hard as I used to. But I do feel like because I'm not chasing it and I'm focusing more on the art and the story, more people are talking to me that might open that door.
Edison, who just commented, knows what he's talking about. This guy has done several highly successful Kickstarters. Yeah.
Sure. I was recently talking to an editor at Boom. So there's a series that it's just a 2-issue series, super action packed, that I was thinking about pitching to him. I had some really good conversations with him. But yeah, there's a couple of ins where I can talk to some people from Mad Cave, which is very cool. But I would like to get to that point, but I'm also not holding out for it.
Right.
Just because I can't find somebody who wants to print my story doesn't mean the story isn't worth printing and worth like getting out there. I see so many cool comic books that started out as a self-published series and then ends up getting picked up by a publisher later on for printing and distribution.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Moonshine Bigfoot comes to mind. That was a Kickstarter deal that Image picked up. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the process is nowadays for getting something published at Image. I've heard you got to kind of have some money to spend these days, so purportedly. If you listen to the founders, it sounds like you can just pitch something, and if they like it, they'll publish it. But I've heard rumors that it's harder than that nowadays. But would doing something at Image appeal to you, having a creator-owned project there?
Oh, 100%. A lot of the stuff I read ends up coming from Image. I think they have a very good selection of projects. So I would love to add something I do to that list. But I think I tried submitting something once through Image, and it's a very like bare bones kind of like Image submission page. And to me, when I did it, I already knew it was like throwing something into the void because they probably get thousands and thousands of these.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, but yeah, like I did it, didn't hear back, still made it. It ended up being Eternal Rain, you know? So.
Yeah, I think we're in the days of, if you want to make it yourself. And if it gets picked up, gains popularity, the demand is there for it. You know, we're set up to have the means of getting this out. You know, not only getting our creativity out, but getting our work out to people. And it's like, it's funny to me, you said like you want to be published, and I know what you mean, but it's like you are publishing, you're just publishing your own stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What you were saying is you'd like that resume piece. Like, oh, I got, you know, Dark Horse put out one of my books or whatever.
Exactly. I want to see my name, and then I want to see their logo, and then that will give me the high that I'm searching for. So.
Is there a mainstream comic that, like a dream comic, that if you got offered to write, that you would gravitate towards?
Obviously
like an existing character.
Obviously, like anything Hellboy related. Even if it was Hellboy adjacent, if I did BPRD or something, I would be absolutely floored with that. Beyond that, I'm trying to think what would be another cool series to tackle.
Swamp Thing
would be awesome. I've always digged, you know, Alan Moore's take on this weird, trippy swamp monster.
Conan.
Batman too. Like I love Batman. I love Spider-Man. I love
Conan would be like a good fit for you.
Yeah. Conan, I think I could absolutely kill. And the Punisher would be cool too. I feel like we need more Punisher stuff. And this is just me personally. I love Blade.
Oh yeah.
I think Blade would be super fun. I think I could do a lot of cool stuff with Blade.
Yeah, like or do like a Midnight Suns thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities there. As far as like mainstream publishers, like there are some suitable things that you would be really a good fit for.
Yeah.
And plus that needs to be kind of shaken up, because they keep kind of doing the same thing over and over, and it's like, you know, gets lost by the wayside.
I started thinking about like reaching out to see how much like licensing for certain characters costs. Like I'm sure you're familiar with like Deathstalker. Like obviously they they redid the film. They made a new film that came out a few years ago, and I ended up finding out I think it was like Shout Entertainment is the one that currently owns the licensing for Deathstalker. And if you go on their website, there's literally a section that says, "Are you interested in one of our properties? Email us about licensing." So I played around with the idea of like, oh, maybe I should just send an email and say like, how much would it cost me to like get to legally be able to use Deathstalker in a comic book? So I do think that's a venture I do want to eventually take, but I do need to have a better understanding of like licensings and how all that stuff works before I just start throwing money. So
yeah. Well, if you ever do get on Punisher, you got to try to bring Raymar along with you, because I know that would be his dream gig.
Yeah,
which would be to do a Punisher book.
Punisher. So
yeah, he alluded to getting a big cover here that he
Yes.
just posted about that he said it's not Hulk, even though he used the Hulk meme, but he said it's pretty big. So
he has not told me what it is yet. So
there you go.
hopefully
Squid
it's something
Mark
really
says
cool.
we need a fresh take on Kroll. Yeah. We need a fresh take on a lot of things these days, I feel. Yeah. We're getting in a little cycle of monotony here, especially with Marvel. I feel like they're just kind of it's like when Sam can find these comics in the dollar bin that are 10 times better than 95% of what Marvel's putting out right now. That's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Was it the Tower of Terrors was the one you found recently?
Tower of Shadows, but
Tower
it
of Shadows.
wasn't no fucking dollar bin book. I wish.
Well,
they're like $15, like.
But an
issues.
older book that was
Yeah.
like phenomenal.
Yeah, apparently number 4, that's the one that's like crazy money for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure why, but I was talking to Stand Up Dan actually about Tower of Shadows, and he's like, "You got number 4?" Like, no, and he's like, "You're never going to," and he's like, "That's the one I'm missing out of my collection." I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh,
okay,
a couple $100 worth, yeah."
Random keys that goes for a lot or something, yeah. Probably the first obscure first appearance of somebody or something. Yeah.
I started picking up I've been recently just going to the artists that I like on their Instagram pages and just picking up their comics directly from them. And one I recently picked up that I really liked was Tyrant Fall. It's by Brennan Knight and Max Davenport. And it's like this super fun high fantasy, but also has like elements of like cyberpunk and like dystopia.
Oh, that's cool. I like the colors on that.
Yeah, dude, it is a super fun comic, really action packed. They're up to 3 issues right now, but they're currently working on the 4th. But like, just super fun stuff, just super actiony, super gory. Yeah, I feel like we need more comics like this. We just need more voices that just haven't gotten to tell their story yet out there. And I feel like indie creators right now, they're scratching that itch that a lot of mainstream comic stuff isn't for me. Another one that I really enjoyed was Above Snakes. This one's printed by Image, but the colors in this are like super crazy, super vibrant, and just really interesting choice of art style. But I really digged it. It's your classic like revenge story. It's a Western. And it's about this guy trying to seek justice for his dead wife. And he basically has this spirit vulture that just wants to feed on the wicked.
Nice.
But yeah.
Do you feel like, have you ever considered like direct to consumer as well? Like, I mean, a lot of people are exploring that route. So instead of crowdfunding, like if you do get to a position where you have the funds to get something made and then just selling it directly to people like via Whatnot or something like that, is that anything that interests you, or do you think Kickstarter is kind of a little more reliable means of making sure the funding's there and the audience is there for it?
To be honest, it's something I haven't fully explored. I think that's the next step for me because I don't have a website. I literally have Instagram. If somebody wants something I made, they have to like DM me, which I understand is not like a viable way of getting your stuff out there because like that can be intimidating, right? Like messaging somebody saying, "Hey, I want to buy this thing from you."
Yeah, or Instagram hides it from you. Like they do a bunch of people that try to reach out to me about being on the podcast and I find it like 2 weeks later, you know?
Yeah. So, like I said before, all my enjoyment really comes from making the comic, and I need to get better at promoting and selling it because once I've done the Kickstarter, I'm already working on the next project and I have my printed copies. And when I do these conventions or pop-ups, I have them out ready, available, but I don't have an easy way of selling my stories without somebody just basically reaching out to me, which isn't a good system. That is definitely something I need to start figuring out.
Yeah, there's always something. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Self-funded. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see that you guys with all this creative passion are just out here getting stuff done. Like, I know I've said it before, but that's what's always inspired me about Sam, because he's out here just hustling and constantly creating, constantly working on new projects. Like, if we could, publicly talk about all the stuff he has going on, people would be blown away. But it's like he doesn't sleep, so that helps in getting all this stuff done. But it's cool to see you guys like that have this passion and creativity, like taking action and actually doing it because you love it, and it's in you and you have to put it out there. So that, to me, that's really neat to see.
I definitely think if you're getting into comics because you think it's lucrative, you're probably crazy.
Yeah.
I have severely lost more money than I've made money making comic books.
For sure.
Which hasn't been a problem, because to me, it's something I love. So it's like I'm going into it and I may not be getting a financial return, but like an emotional return is insane. When I have that book in my hand, that feeling of like, fuck, this is perfect. This is what I wanted. It's here. I can show this to people. And I'll never forget when I first started making comic books, like my friends, they all found out and they're like, oh, that's cool. And then when they saw the art, they were like, oh, dude, this is like a real comic book. And I started laughing. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, it's always been a real comic book. But I think when they see such good art accompanied by like an interesting, good story, to them, it also like kind of nails in the like, whoa, like this isn't just like he's playing in the sandbox. This is like he's legitimately like trying to make something. So
yeah, becomes a physically tangible thing that they can hold in their hands and see. That's so cool. Well, Sam, do you have anything else for Warrick before we wrap things up tonight?
Keep making comics.
Yeah,
Done.
absolutely.
Done, Sam.
And Warrick, do you have anything else you would like to promote while you're on here? I've been putting your Instagram up on the screen and everything. I put the link for the pre-launch in the chat and everything. So what do you want to leave everybody with before we shut things down here?
I would say if you're thinking about making a comic, just do it, because if I had realized that I could have started doing this like years ago, I would have started sooner. I would have dedicated more time to this craft and try to contribute to this community that I feel like has given me so much. Comics have always been there. When I'm having a bad moment, I guarantee you I sat there and read a story that helped motivate me or inspired me or made me realize, you know what, maybe this emotion I'm feeling right now isn't just an emotion I'm feeling. It's something other people are feeling. And if you have the means to contribute to that community, I say do it, because it's just going to make it stronger. It's just going to make it more interesting, the more voices being, heard.
For sure. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's been awesome having you on, and greatly appreciate you making the time. Glad you're not an East Coaster that we're keeping up way past their bedtime like we did last week with poor John was in his pajamas ready to roll into bed when he got off here. But,
I got one more thing. Sorry,
yeah,
James.
Go for it. No, don't be sorry.
Clay just put up his pre-launch page for Yellow Moon. I'm not sure if you've gone to see that yet. Please, if there's a way to share that, I would love people to check that out. I signed up for it. It looks absolutely insane.
Yellow Moon, is it on, you said Kickstarter?
I don't know if it's on his Kickstarter yet. It's definitely on his Instagram. He has it as one of the top links, but he's basically has a poll open where if you sign up, you can do a little survey and you can help choose what the sticker that will be accompanying the book will be.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm
and
pulling up the IG real quick.
Cool. And he has some of the art that's in the comic book on display. It looks so good. I'm so excited.
I see it here. Yep. Yellow Moon is coming. Screenshot the QR code. All right. I'm going to put him in the chat so people can go over to Clayton's Instagram and check that out. Clayton, another friend of the podcast, great guy. I got to get him on here. Clayton's awesome.
You got it. Like,
and
he's been a busy bee too.
Want to shout out Edison Neo, who's been in the chat. He was on the podcast recently. He's insanely talented artist and writer. He's done several Kickstarter projects. He's got a really cool sketchbook that he has already fully funded just a few days in on his Kickstarter. So make sure you guys go support Edison. be on the lookout for his episode coming up. And Warrick, thanks so much for being on here with us tonight, man.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm looking forward to being back.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to everybody in the chat. Sam, thank you as always. Peace out, guys.
Bye.
Oh, I got to end it quick. He's going to keep going. And